If you've ever had
today's show, one of the things that's going to occur because of everything going on in Ukraine with Russia, obviously this is more than just what people think it actually is. And I'll be covering more videos about that so people become more aware of what's actually going down, as this is a war on civilians. This is a war on the people. One of the things you're going to see all around the world, they'll tell you it's because of what Russia's doing in Ukraine, because they can make up anything they want and people believe it, just like they're doing with the oil. Apparently, America's dependent on the oil from Russia. Huh? Since when? Oh, I don't know. We just made up the statistic, just like we did with everything going on with the 1-9er, and everybody just believes it. So when they spike prices, they cause more inflation, they cause more people to lose more money at the gas pumps than they ever possibly would. And then that spreads obviously to food and other things, because then they come in and they say, well, there's a food shortage too. And you go, what? Wasn't there just a food shortage with the 1-9er? Oh yeah, there was a food shortage then because we told everyone to burn their crops. Oh, right. Oh, and then there was a food shortage with the 1-9er because apparently we couldn't get food off of ships, even though truck drivers were sitting at the ports waiting for their trucks to be loaded. All right, not being done on purpose. Now, apparently, we can't eat anywhere in the world because who knew? We all were dependent on Ukraine for wheat and some other stuff. So, wow, boy, just make it up as they go, as they always have done. Well, one of the things that comes of this is them coming in with a solution for food. Remember, when people are starving, they're going to need hand-me-outs from the government. They want people to become dependent on the government. They want to change and reset everything. Now, while a lot of people will probably perish during this food shortage that eventually occurs, and like I said, it's not the type of food shortage that you're going to be used to, where it's like, oh, I went to the store and they were all out of turkey. Ooh, the world's gonna end. No. First it starts like that. Then it moves to rationing how much and what you can buy. Then it moves to literally nothing being produced for a period of time. And people will need to eat or they'll die. So guess what? Then they can finally get people into their soylent meats and products, which are all being prepared just for this, to get people on board for this being the future of food.
This 3D printer is producing a whole-cut veggie steak. The goal? To reduce meat consumption. The environmental footprint of meat production, animal rights and human health has created much awareness. And so, hopping on the trend of vegetarianism and veganism is Nova Meat. It's a Spanish startup targeting heavy meat eaters who don't wish to compromise. They want the meat's smell, taste, texture and appearance to be real. Nova Meat's first attempt to make a steak was in 2018. And ever since, many tasting and testing rounds helped them discover the right proportion of ingredients. This is a mix of peas, beetroot juice, seaweed and other vegetable ingredients, all extruded into fibers, recreating muscle tissue. They recently started adding omega-3 and vitamin B12. Both are elements present in regular meat.
We started with the most difficult one, which is the texture. It's very difficult to achieve a steak-like parameter. It's a very difficult parameter to achieve in the food industry. We started with that and we got it right. We are very proud. Then we have the parameters of taste and mouthfeel. In regards of these two, we have improved a lot lately. So people are telling us we are doing well in texture, taste and mouthfeel.
Nova Meat is currently in the early stages of its meat substitute production. They developed and patented a new micro-extrusion technology. It adjusts the structure of plant-based proteins at the microscopic level. Also improves the texture of cuts like pork fillets or beef steaks. The new technology is capable of producing fibers between 100 and 500 microns in diameter. But is the taste close enough to real meat?
As far as those false meats go, the texture is probably the best one I've had from, compared to, Beyond Meat or something similar like that. But the flavor, I think, to me as a meat eater, I don't think it resembles it as close as I would to someone that doesn't eat meat.
The company is still conducting a series of tastings in cooking schools to gather some feedback. They bring steaks made from slightly different ingredients with varying tastes to perfect the final recipe. And that's why some are more pleasantly surprised.
Pues me ha sorprendido, la verdad.
I was surprised. I wasn't expecting that given how they make the steaks and the ingredients they use. The texture is very well achieved. The taste too. There were different tastes to try. In general, they were all very tasty.
Pero en general estaba muy rica.
Nova Meat plans to have its steaks available at selected restaurants in Spain by the end of 2022, eventually reaching mass markets by licensing their technology and recipes to companies. There are dozens of other brands competing in the market. Many use 3D printers to produce plant-based meat. Here's hoping plant-based meat is the new environment-friendly way forward for meat lovers. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
So I've talked about that before, but the reason I'm bringing it up again, because it's very important with everything that's going on with food shortages. This is the solution they've been telling us about for a long time. Ooh, we're running out of food in the world. Everyone's apparently starving. But lucky for us, Bill Gates and all our government puppets have come up with a fake meat that we're supposed to trust. Yeah, they've combined cocoa butter, they've combined omega-3s, they've combined baby fetuses. Oh yeah, sorry, that's not in there, wink wink. And you can see how disgusting this is where they actually use blood. It's a simulation, and people will be on board to eat this crap. Because look, they've already been used to eating garbage like this. It's called McDonald's. Yeah, it's called Burger King. Right. They're already used to eating crap. They don't even know what they're putting in their body. They've already been told, for the most part. They've had documentaries and stuff like that where they're like, literally, yeah, we don't think it's actually real chicken in the nuggets. We don't think it's actually real. And people are like, oh, where are you going? Oh, I'm heading to McDonald's and have some of that fake chicken, right? And of course, we know now all these companies have rolled out their plant-based meats, prepping people for what is coming here. Because of course, there's an endless, we're running out of, there's so many things that tie into this that are so ridiculous with the plant-based foods. First, how they tell us that cow farts create global warming. And that's not even a joke. Bill Gates literally said that.
One crucial part is agriculture. And one thing you said you were particularly surprised by was how great a problem bovine flatulence is. Do you want to explain what that is and why it's a problem?
Yeah, so the animals that can eat grass have very unusual stomachs that have these bacteria that are methanogenic in there. And so they leak natural gas, both out the front and the back. And so people have said, well, let's change the hay or throw some things in there. And nobody knows how to get rid of
no one knows how to get cows to stop farting.
Exactly, or burping.
And then, of course, some of the other nonsense, as if, we don't have animals and things like that. And of course, they want to turn people away from that and tell people, oh, it's so horrible to eat an animal. It is so horrible to eat fish. Because sometimes people come and they're like, we shouldn't be eating animals anyway. Well, will you eat fish? Jesus was eating fish. The disciples were eating fish. Is that a problem too? Just because you may be grossed out by the way a fish looks, that's a very good source of protein, very good source of food is a fish. Oh, but we're supposed to be, right, there's a shortage of fish too, even though they multiply by the quadrillions in the ocean. But okay, right. Oh, but we're not going to eat them because of the fact that our government pollutes the ocean and everywhere else. So what I'm getting at here is the Soylent, right? Ironically, of course, Soylent Green in the movie takes place in 2022, the year 2022, and it looks a lot like what the world will look like.
New York City, 50 years from today. Nothing runs, nothing works, but people are the same. And people will do anything to get what they need. What they need most is Soylent Green.
Soylent Green is made out of people.
People lining up for food. People begging for the government to give them just one bite of the food. Now, we all look at it in that scene, and it's like crackers, right? It's like biscuits, like World War II. But remember, there's going to be a shortage of all of these ingredients and all of these things that we need, but there won't be a shortage ever of this miracle meat that's created in a laboratory. So they can come in and say, here it is. You might be nervous at first, but you're not going to have a choice of what you're going to eat because there's no food left. And then they'll get everybody on board for their Soylent meat nastiness. And people will start eating it. Now you might say, well, Cole, what's the big deal? It's food. They'll be giving us food. Well, for starters, we're going to be getting soy boyed up. So if you don't think we have a feminine enough society as far as men go, men who act feminine, men whose voices magically change because they take it in the Hershey Highway, just wait until everybody's soyed up 24/7. You think that's an urban legend? Remember the stories I covered when they started producing all these stories about Soylent meat, Soylent meat, Soylent meat? And men were developing very soft tissued chests, amongst other things. Their voices were almost changing as well. Could it have been the extra amount of soy and estrogen that's going into their body? Well, of course. Because what better society for them to run and control than a society where the men are completely not men anymore? And a lot of the women who listen to this channel can attest to that. I see them comment all the time, just talking about what's going on with men and how feminine they are and the way they dress. You got men wearing makeup, painting their nails. I mean, the women are disgusted, absolutely disgusted. I feel so bad for women in this world, to be honest with you. I feel bad for the men too. But just imagine them doubled up on soy burgers and soy meat. So when they create these types of things, they already have the solutions in place. They tell you about the solutions beforehand. That way you're desensitized to it. Because if suddenly everybody was dying of starvation and they just rolled out this meat that they processed in a plant, some people will be hesitant to eat it because they probably think it was poison. But guess what? It really is poison. But since people are familiar with it, because we've heard nothing but these celebrities and the Bill Gateses of the world talking about it, and of course, they'll correlate this with plant-based burgers, right? The plant-based burgers. I covered recently even New York City forcing this stuff onto the kids on Fridays in New York, that they have to eat plant-based meat because they're normalizing this garbage. And they're telling you it's because of the environment. It's not about the environment. It's about control. It's about really physically getting inside your body something that is not, don't buy into what they tell you. Like, oh, it's some chickpeas mixed with omega fats and coconut butter. Do not buy into that garbage. First of all, look at the label of anything that we eat. You really believe what's in it is on the label? Let alone the fact if you look at a box of Cheerios, you ever see so many chemicals in your life? Try doing that today. Go grab a box of cereal. Try like Rice Krispies or whatever you might have in your home. And I know a bunch of people will be like, I don't have anything ever created from a store. I grow everything. Well, that's great. But a lot of people do. So if you have even oatmeal, look at all the ingredients in it. You're thinking like Cheerios, oh, it's just some wheat. And oh no, try like thyroid riboflavin, papaleucine, all things you can't pronounce because they're all chemicals, and they tell you that it's okay for you to eat, so everybody still buys it and eats it. But if people actually were like, oh no, you shouldn't get that, look at the box, the label, and they explain what was in it, they probably be like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that, because we do live in a society that's supposed to care so much about their bodies, such a self-absorbed society that's, oh, I care about what I put in my body, I have to be very, very careful, but I'll eat these because the FDA approves it. Yeah, wait till the Soylent burgers here, or the Soylent meats here, the solution for famine, the solution for starvation, and they're prepping people for this because they can grow endless amounts of it in a lab. And what kind of printers do they use? Well, take a guess. They're called graphene printers. That's right, graphene. Remember that? That's what the printers are that they use. You can't even say that word. It's an automatic trigger. But apparently it's their miracle product that they want the world to know about and to love, and ooh, give me the black goo. Just what you want your burger, your steaks made out of, right? So keep an eye on these stories the more that you see. If you're someone on the website, share any stories you're seeing about this being pushed. That video clip that I showed you is brand new. And, I always am looking for some of these topics that are all tying into what's going on now. And we know that a famine's coming, deliberately created by them. We know that there's so many things that are tied into what they're doing over there, and with the 1-9er. It's going in phases. Phase 1 you saw was just, the outbreak. Everyone thought it was over then. They wore everyone down completely. Now they're doing this, and they're using it as another reason to have shortages and inflation because they have to destroy the economy. And then, of course, what's going to come from this, which would be phase 3, would be America and Russia going to war, which they're already telling you it's coming because you have your president, your actor, your incompetent buffoon. And, you know, if it's not an act, I mean, it's pretty hilarious because this would be the worst president in the history of the world, not even just America, but it's an act. His job is to set us up for failure. His job is to walk us into a war because he runs his mouth and he says stupid things. Like, I don't know if you even recently heard, he said that Vice President Michelle Obama. I mean, this stuff is being done on purpose. I don't know how people don't see it. Yeah, he looks like an incompetent old fool, but that's what they put him in there for. And sure, some of the stuff he might actually be doing, realistically saying it. Who knows if he's even a real human being at this point. But the more incompetent America looks, the more realistic it becomes for America to crumble and to be in a war with Russia, to walk us into it because of stupid words and stupid actions. And it won't matter because the liberal people out there aren't really human beings at this point. They just believe in their political party so they can do no wrong. Whatever they do, they're on board with. Like, you got all the dorks shoved into a pile here who don't, critically think on their own, and they'll be on board too. They'll be like, yeah, we didn't lock anyone into it. Trump did it. What? Huh? Because they still believe in the left, right. And the right will point at the left and blah, 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 blah. And all these agendas will be put into place at the same time with what comes from this. And the meat's one of them because there's going to be a massive food shortage. And they're going to come in at some point because they still have to pretend like they're an actual government. And they're going to have a solution. And it's going to be plant-based meats because they can grow it quick. They'll claim it's cheap, it's inexpensive, and it's healthy. So estrogen up, boys. Get ready. Soy boy party. Unbelievable how disgusting this world is. And people would actually eat this crap. I mean, it really is just nauseating. But this world is nauseating, so who's surprised?